Live better and longer with the Fitzness Show, hosted by fitness expert, author, and TV personality Fitz Koehler. She'll tell you why diets are dumb, supplements are snake oil, and the truth about how you can earn a lean, hard, pain-free, and athletic body. Now for our favorite bossy blonde, Fitz Koehler.
Well, hi, team. I'm Fitz Koehler, your very noisy race announcer from fitzness.com, and welcome to the Fitzness Show. Today, I have a special guest that is running one of the races I announced, not only one of the races, but the race that got me into race announcing, the OC Marathon. That's Orange County in California, and one of the finest athletic events in the entire country each year. It's a spectacular race weekend, and David Lyman is my guest. It's funny, I was on the OC Marathon Instagram page a few weeks ago, and I got notified that there was a man who was an EOD specialist, you know, a bomb squad guy, who was going to run the entire OC Marathon. That's right, go 26.2 miles in a bomb suit. I thought, well, what? Why? Now, mind you, I've seen lots of incredible people take on the marathon distance in a bunch of incredible ways. And one of my favorites is Cliff Walker. He's a firefighter that I met at the finish line of the OC Marathon in 2014 or 15, I believe. And he did the whole thing in a full firefighter suit. In fact, I have a couple of favorites, Rudy and Dan, who have done the races in their law enforcement uniforms and firefighters. And gosh, we've seen some really interesting things, but a bomb suit? Do you know what a bomb suit looks like? What I need you to do is go Google that and just imagine walking around your house during breakfast time, right? Just trying to cook breakfast in a bomb suit. It just doesn't seem like a really, I don't know, easy experience, comfortable. And David Lyman is a man who does not have a priority on easy or comfortable or safe, apparently. He doesn't have any of those intentions. His intentions are clearly for greatness, for service. And I'm so in love with all of our military, but he served in the Navy. He was deployed in all sorts of cool places. And yeah, now he's taking on the OC freaking marathon in a 74-pound bomb suit, helmet included. So stay tuned for that, folks. If you would like to learn more, go to ocmarathon.com. Once you're done listening to the show, you'll see a great video interview with David on the front page. There's a place for you to follow him on Instagram, and it's Bomb Suit Marathon. That's his handle. And then you can also donate to the EOD Warrior Foundation. That's an organization that supports bomb squad folks and their families when in need, folks that have been injured or killed on the job. And just imagine, I try not to be so freaked out while talking to him, but can you imagine working with bombs every day? That's your job. The guy or the gal who's supposed to go defuse the bomb. I think it's absolutely fascinating. So go check out OC Marathon. While there, you should probably register to participate. And we have people that fly in from every state in the country and all over the world to be there for this special event the first weekend of May. So if you want to register, the discount code is Fitzness. That's right, FITZNESS. Our race director, Gary Kutcher, was very generous with my listeners. He's giving 15% off all the races, which is a very big deal. You're probably not going to find that anywhere else. So come be a part of one of the most magical athletic events on planet Earth in May. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you follow the Fitzness Show wherever you like to enjoy podcasts. Click like, leave a review, visit me at Fitzness on Instagram and fitzness.com so we can connect. And if you're running the OC, maybe you can notify me in advance and I can pour some extra noisy love on you at the start and finish line with my co-announcer, Rudy Novotny. Ready?
Are you okay if every now and then I sip? Is that like bad?
Absolutely. No, it's very casual and cool. I like it.
Trying to.
Yeah,
this
make it look
bright.
easy. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Right,
Gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you for being
all right.
so
Of course, David Lyman, welcome to the Fitzness Show. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am absolutely spectacular, and I've been really looking forward to our conversation. So thank you for making time for us.
I'm grateful. I appreciate you having me on.
Okay, so you're going to be, this is how I'm introduced to you. It's a press release that this man is going to be doing 26.2 miles with us at the OC Marathon. And folks, if you don't know what the OC Marathon is, you're missing out. It's one of the finest marathon weekends in the entire world. It's a full marathon, a half marathon, a 5K, kids races. It's just, it's in Southern California, the first weekend of May, and it is one of the most special events on earth. And I'm so blessed to be one of the race announcers. Rudy and I started in 2014, and I've been in love with it ever since. So I get the press release that says, you, and I'm going to label you here like a psychopath, are going to do our entire marathon this May while wearing a bomb suit.
Yep. Yeah. It seems like a bad idea sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to have a bomb guy around just in case, but I have so many questions in my head.
Right?
Huh?
The joke is always like, if you see one running, try and keep up, right? You don't want him running like
right. Moving really, really slow, but I feel like you're going to move faster. So before we get into running a marathon in a bomb suit, tell us who you are and why you wear a bomb suit.
So my name is David Lyman. I am a retired Navy explosive ordnance disposal technician. I retired from the Navy after 23 years in October of 22. And I had, just brief history on me, like right out of high school, I joined the Navy and spent, my first couple years in the fleet, just working out there. And then I kind of learned about new to me. And I wanted to join it. It's EOD work for the Navy. All the branches have EOD techs, but the mission's a little bit different for everybody. So we do, we render safe, ordnance, chemical, biological, improvised, stuff underwater. These guys kind of do it all. And when you see a group of people like that, you can't not just be like, holy cow, like what do I have to do to join? So I put in a package.
Oh, and pause right there because I think many people might look at a group of bomb removal folks and say, no, I don't want to be a part of that. So I'm looking at you and I'm thinking he's got to be meticulous. He's got to be patient. He's got to be smarter than almost anybody I know. But yeah, go on.
Well, I don't know about those, but I definitely appreciate it.
Sure.
That's how that's the exact way I looked at these guys. And it sounds crazy at first, right? But the degree to which these guys train, I don't want to say it's a walk in the park, but I think it's just kind of basic for them. By the time they've trained like these, monster hours all day, all night, underwater, in the dark. I've dove in water up in the Puget Sound up in Washington State, and you can't, it's daylight, and that's about it. That's about all you can tell because there's so much swirling in your face. But when you train like that and so constantly, it starts to be like you learn a lot, you onboard, instruction from all these different people. It becomes a bit more methodical. It becomes like, well, this is what you do. These are the steps. And if this, then that, and it becomes kind of a puzzle with everything laid in front of you. So as long as you can kind of keep your head and wits about you, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah, a puzzle with the most dire consequences.
Sure.
One can imagine at the oops, I chose the wrong path, but so cool. So you apply to this team and they choose you. Is it hard to get on the team? How did that go?
Yeah, so once the package got accepted, I went to Pensacola, Florida for dive school. That's 2 months long. At Pensacola, we do scuba for about a month, and then you do Mark 16 rebreather. So it's a self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. So no bubbles.
And how come no bubbles?
Because a lot of underwater ordnance has like firing systems that listen for like acoustic signatures, right? Like underwater mines might have like a magnetic firing system, but they might also have like an acoustic system, right? So scuba bubbles make a ton of noise in the water. And really, like, they're not listening for guys like me. They're listening for ships. But we want to avoid doing anything that might wake up the finer systems, right?
Okay.
So, the Mark 16, and I don't think any of this is classified. Like, you can Google it. No bubbles, and it's got like a very low magnetic signature. So, when you're swimming up to this thing, it doesn't know you're there, basically. So you do that for about 2 months. And if you get through it, then you move on to EOD school, which is a 10-month pipeline, or was back then. This is in 2005 is when I went through. And I mean, EOD school is literally, there's a test on day 2 for everything you learned on day 1. And if you fail that, you'll get a retest on day 3. But day 3, then you'll have a retest and then the test for day 2. It is nonstop once you get there. And it was, for me, it was particularly challenging. Like I dropped out of high school. I wasn't a very good student. So not only am I having to learn how to do this like incredible job, I had to learn how to study. I didn't know what mnemonics were. Like I was like, oh, welcome to adulthood. I got to figure out my life. So that was it. That was the start. And then, they say once you get through school, you get your EOD badge, and it's like your license to learn. Like now you're really like kind of training wheels are off. Now you can really you go to a unit, you get put on a platoon, and then you really start learning how to do the job.
Okay.
And then I got to do that with a bunch of guys, and one of them, his name is Justin. He was on my second platoon. He might be coming out to pace me for the race. We're trying to work out schedules, but just, a lot of these guys it's kind of it's a family. I think a lot of folks would probably agree.
I can imagine when you actually have each other's lives in each other's hands, it might bond you pretty quickly. Now, everything you've described so far makes it sound pretty scary. I'm thinking, okay, if I'm underwater moving towards an explosive device and I blow a bubble because I'm breathing, perhaps that device might explode in my face. It all sounds very, very scary. Do you have any fear in your heart as you're taking these classes, or is it just exciting and interesting?
It's pretty exciting. Like I didn't have a military family. So I was kind of I wasn't the first in my family to be in the military, but like my grandfather was, but he had passed before I met him, and some others had military background, but my immediate family was all like mostly academics. So being a high school dropout, I sort of diverged from that path a little bit. But I don't think it's like that I'm fearless. I think, I trust the training that I've been given. I trust the guys to take care of me if I get hurt. And I don't want to let them down. That was often one of my biggest motivators, is like the team needs me to go. Like, the underwater stuff is kind of it's probably one of the best examples, because, we go out on our boat and you're usually only putting one diver in the water, or at least when I started in the community. I think that's changed a little bit, but that's doctrine stuff. But initially, the new guy in the team is the one diving, and he's the one that has to find this mine, and if I don't, then we might fail the drill, or somebody else is going to have to go down and find it. And it just makes the day longer and harder, and so, and I'm talking about training stuff, but I think when you've trained like that, you perform like that, the real thing would be a very similar mindset. If I fail in this, somebody else is going to have to do it, and that ultimately could mean putting one of my teammates' lives in danger, and so I think if it is exciting, but you have a job to do and you need to get it done. And the training teaches you, like, it's not looking for you, it's not designed for you. It would be a waste for it to go off on me,
Okay.
So you're like, okay, like, so you end up worrying about things like, I'm really cold, or are there sharks around me right now?
Okay.
You're like, your mind's sort of like, okay, well, I can't worry about this one thing. And then it kind of finds other things for you to think about.
Okay. So a couple of things there. You said train the way you perform, or you'll perform the way you train. That's exactly like running.
Just like running, right? Climbing, running, lifting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I find athletics really crosses into every aspect of my business life and my personal life. I can always go back to some excellent skill set or mindset that I learned through sports. So very, very cool. So, I have a bazillion questions, but before we get to the actual suits you wear, well, actually, that's it. If you are wearing your bomb squad suit, whether you're underwater or on land, and a bomb goes off, how likely is that suit to protect you, like help you keep your arms and your skull intact? Or, how effective are those suits? And we will be right back. Do your hips, glutes, quads, and hamstrings need extra support while running? Of course they do. Both soothing and comfortable, compression tights by Leo Reve boost blood and lymphatic circulation while increasing muscle pliability, which helps prevent fatigue and injury. Made for men and women of all speeds. Check out the superior balanced compression tights made right here in America. Visit leoreve.com. That's LEOREVER.com. We're back.
Yeah. So the suits are primarily used for surface ordnance response, right? Or IEDs. They're not used in the water. It's a 74-pound suit. There's been many iterations on it. And I try to talk about like the history of the suit a little bit on my Instagram, because it's a pretty interesting evolution. Okay. So the suit is made by MedEng, which is a company that falls under the Safariland umbrella. They're based out of Canada. And these guys are storied, right? Like when I was going through EOD school, they used to say they wouldn't release a new model until the CEO has been blown up in one, right? And we're
wow.
Like really? And you can't Google that, okay. Like I've tried. I haven't found anything concrete that says it, but it's a good story, right?
Yeah.
So the suit I'm running in is we call it the EOD 9. So it's really the EOD 8 suit with the new helmet. So they call it the 9. The 10 just came out, but the suit is made of, Kevlar plates and like ripstop fabric, right? And basically it's, I don't know if you've seen a picture of it yet, but I can send you some stuff.
Sure.
But like, it's a suit that is, if you've seen like the Hurt Locker is a great example, right? The idea is to guide a blast wave around you, so it's a lot of curves on it. And they try to make sure like, you have like a neck dam coming up and then your helmet sits below the neck dam. And that way, when blast wave hits you, it sort of wraps around you instead of hitting just a flat surface. You have like a spine protector on your back, kind of like scales, so your back doesn't bend. And it does phenomenal at blast pressure reduction. That's the whole effort behind the suit.
Have you ever experienced a blast while wearing the suit?
I haven't.
Good.
I've only worn it for work in training. I'm pretty sure I'd remember if I'd worn it for real.
Okay.
But plenty of guys in the community have, especially when we were in, when the US was in Iraq and we were fighting like an IED war, or at least that's like my piece of that war, right? Like that's what we do. Like we did a lot of response. A unit would get hit or see something that they suspected to be dangerous and call EOD units out. And it's up to that team's judgment whether or not the suit is appropriate, because you have to also remember the suit is 74 additional pounds. It doesn't breathe at all. So if you're in Iraq in their summer, it might be well over 100 degrees there. Is it going to help you or is it going to hinder you? And you have to think like, how well can I move and work? So when you're wearing the suit, you're not wearing anything else underneath it. You're wearing like, clothing, but no armor. I think it's sort of up to the guy's discretion, team leader discretion, if they're taking weapons down, what tools they're taking down. So it's sort of variable in what each individual tech might utilize while in the suit. Usually don't have gloves on because you want dexterity. But yeah.
So where have you served? And before you get there, I want you to know how much I appreciate your service.
Oh, thank you.
Freedom is my favorite thing. There's nothing in front of freedom. And so those who protect it are just the best. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. So where have you served and what are some of the more interesting things you've done in those places?
So my first EOD deployment, when I was in the fleet, I did 3 deployments on the ships. That's not nearly as exciting. I just drove a forklift out to sea, but it was a good experience. And then my first deployment with EOD was to Iraq, 2009. And that was, it was pretty great in that I got to drive, we use robots in our line of work a lot, and you're supporting other units. Like you're supporting people in this might sound like I have a hero complex, but I love the idea of being able to help or like protect or save others, prevent others from, I like the idea of the EOD mission. And I feel like we really got to do it there. And then next deployment, we went to Africa. So we were deployed to Djibouti, but while there, we would forward deploy to other areas. So I got to go teach demining in Kenya to Kenyan Bomb Squad.
Okay.
Which was like, I mean, I think we've, growing up, at least I always heard like how Africa is just ridden with landmines everywhere.
Is that true?
There's a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
And we call it UXO. So it's not just landmines, but there's ordnance that's unexploded ordnance, UXO, from combat, from whatever internal wars they're having.
For example, and there's a bunch of, I'm not a dummy, but I would say in this category, kind of a dummy like me who doesn't know an unexploded device. Would that be maybe a grenade that hit the ground and didn't explode?
Yep. It could be. So a good example could be when we were there teaching, some of the guys we taught had to go out. Some kids had found mortars, right? It's just leftover remnants of war. We used to call it ERW. The name changes, but it's just stuff that's not exploded yet that presents a hazard. And it's one thing if, military folk encounter it. It's different if civilians are, or kids are playing, right? Like, can't have that. So then they go out there, they find it. And really, in instances like that, generally just blow it up, just get rid of it. Okay. Because there's nothing to exploit. IEDs are different, as we saw, recently, unfortunately, in the States, right? In New Orleans, like IEDs need to be exploited. So we may not always want to just blow them up right away. If we can exploit them and get intelligence out of them, we do. And that is part of our job.
So exploiting would be saving it and then figuring out the forensics, like who bought this and what's in it and
how'd they make it,
putting it there.
Yep. Where'd they get the parts from? And the job, and I have to kind of tiptoe because every situation is different, right? So it's really up to the guys on the ground. What's the best course of action? If it's just too dangerous, it's too dangerous. But I would think most guys are like, no, we can beat that. There's a way to beat it. And then if we can recover that stuff, that might help us pin the bad guy. And that's not our job, but we pass that off to other folks who rebuild it and analyze it and do all that, forensic work that then can help the other good guys. You know what I mean? Like we're just part of a greater puzzle, a greater team that's just trying to keep folks safe. And that's a big draw. Like how could you resist? Like, what are you going to do today? Well, I'm going to jump out of an airplane into the ocean, dive 300 feet down to save to get rid of this mine that could endanger the carrier. You're like, no big deal. Yeah.
Incredible. Have you done that?
I've jumped we have to jump out of airplanes. We have to be able to do a lot of what other military units can do. So we could go help them. Like if we support them, we need to be able to do what they do too. Yeah. So it's just, the career is just, it's like a movie, right? You just get to do all this amazing stuff, and, work with guys who are, you're just like, how are you so smart? Very, very movie-esque. And then my last deployment with the community was in Bahrain. I went to Bahrain, which we do a lot of diving. It's basically like a diving deployment there. So diving on mines and learning how to dive on mines and just training. So
fascinating. So I would like to know what experience was the most exciting for you, what was the most scary for you, and what's the experience you're most proud of? So exciting, scary, proud.
Exciting. Goodness. I probably, well, I don't know where to start. Exciting was probably just my deployment to Iraq, because you train so hard, right? Like you want to do the job, so I finally get there. I'm a new guy on the team. And for me, like that was, I had my team leader up front, Ray, and RJ and a couple other guys would alternate for driving. Ryan was our lieutenant, but and I'm mentioning their names just in case they watch and I want them to get.
Oh, good.
But like, now I'm doing the job. Like my job every day was like, make sure the truck was ready to go, at any moment, make sure the robots are ready and charged and set up in the truck, because when we're driving somewhere, I'm in the back of the truck, like working. I'm not sitting there like waiting till we get there. Like I've got stuff to do, and then when we get on scene, like, my team leader is the one making the calls. He's taking our advice or input, but he's making the calls, and I don't want to let him down, because this stuff's for real. Right. And so when we were there, it was kind of a quieter time, 2009, and where we were, But, I know guys that have been there and done, 600 IEDs in 6 months,
Wow.
which is insane to me. Like, that's many a day, which is all life threatening. Right. And with an IED can come any number of other things that are detrimental to a healthy life. So, but getting there and being able to do the job kind of for real was probably the pretty exciting stuff. I don't know. Scary was, I don't know if there's kind of two instances. The first one was once you graduate EOD school, you have to go through jump school at Fort Benning. I'm not the biggest fan of heights. I like climbing, but that's a little different. Jumping out of, a C-130 while attached to it, it's very, very Normandy-esque. It's not a great feeling. Like, it's just not a lot. You're not high enough off the ground that it feels, I don't know. Have you ever gone skydiving?
No
It's
interest.
a very different feeling. It's not real how far away you are from the earth, so you can kind of it's okay. I've got time to think about things and I'm okay. But static line was not my favorite experience. Okay. But we also got to teach the Pakistani bomb disposal teams demining, kind of like we did in Kenya. But when we were there, they would lock us in a gymnasium at night and we'd have a bodyguard outside. But we were just locked in this building in Karachi, Pakistan. No gear, no armor, no weapons. And that's not the greatest place to be as an American.
Right. No, and you could have been ambushed. Wow. That is very scary.
It was kind of an uncomfortable position. We were just this is just really weird. We weren't allowed to leave. And during the day we would go to school, we would teach them, and then we'd go back to the gym. And that was it. It was a weird experience for sure.
I think it's fascinating that your two scariest moments have nothing to do with disposing of bombs. So
I trusted my training and my team leaders.
I believe you. And then what are you most proud of?
I think just that it's hard to like pick a moment. You know, my time as a tech is what I was proud of, I think. And that might sound sort of general or basic, but like I have a hard time not fanboying over the people I got to work with. Like, I'm not suggesting that I'm as intelligent as them. This community is just full of people who are like incredibly smart, and like they can see things just in a way that others don't. You know, there's only like 1,100, I think, Navy EOD techs, right? That's like 1% of the Navy, probably less, you know. And the caliber of people you just work with, like, it always just sort of floored me, like how these people are, and they're humble. Like, you know, their sideburns might be out of regulation, right? Or they're playing music real loud, and you know, but they're joking and they're laughing and they're having a good time. And anytime I asked for help, whether on my team or for my guys or for me personally, I was never met with a no. People were always willing to, in addition to whatever they had on their plate, help. Nice. And that being a part of something like that is, I mean, maybe a good segue too, but like, that's what makes that community amazing. And incidentally, that's sort of what, even though I've been retired, like that's sort of what, you know, makes me want to contribute or try to keep contributing.
So on that note, this is a great transition place. So running the OC Marathon in your, what do we call it? Bomb suit? Is that the
that's what I'm going with.
Okay. How come? Why?
I think it's a good symbol for our community. I think, you know, generally, you know, our civilian populace doesn't really know what EOD is. We have the Hurt Locker, but what's funny to me is like Navy SEALs, right? A lot of SEAL movies out there.
Yeah.
Navy SEALs and EOD have the same father. A man named Draper Kaufman started it he started EOD in 1941, and then a few years later started Navy SEALs on the Pacific Front, or World War II. Good Lord. And so SEALs have a very easy, they're going to be like, what? Their mission set is sort of a little bit simpler to explain, I think, in some terms, and looks great in movies.
Right.
EOD stuff isn't quite as attractive maybe as like Hollywood would like. It's not as easy to be like, this is their job, and like this is one specific, because like a lot of effort kind of in the background goes. Like we did blow stuff up. Yeah, kind of. Or like all the forensic shows that are out, like there's a lot more to it.
So you would like to just shine a bright spotlight on the work that these men and women are doing.
Yeah. And that other little piece is, and I sort of grapple with this, like, not just because like you and I are talking, but trying to like really put it into terms, like simple terms that I can digest. But there's guys that, I say guys, men and women who've been hurt, right? And I feel, or killed, right? And I don't. This is a conversation that like I think probably a lot of techs have, or maybe internally. I don't know, but like I don't think I feel guilt that I didn't get hurt, but I feel lucky, right? Despite I think doing my job well, I think there's a certain amount of luck involved as well. And I like the idea that I can do something to contribute to, so somebody that gets hurt in the future, like the foundation I'm supporting, they also have scholarships for the children of, right? So like families that have that need, I want to contribute to that. Like if I can support them, if I can help in some way, and if I suffer, all I'm going to do is sweat and my knees are going to hurt. Like that's a good trade. If I can get through that, it's worth it.
And we will be right back.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for a loved one battling cancer? The Cancer Comeback Series by Fitz Koehler offers hope, inspiration, and practical guidance. With Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, and The Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. These books are a lifeline for all patients and survivors. Right now, you can order autographed copies at a special discount. Show your support and help a loved one go from sick to strong. Visit fitzness.com today. That's FITZNESS.com. Fitzness.com.
We're back. Okay. And what is the foundation you're supporting?
So it's EOD Warrior Foundation. They support all the branches that have EOD technicians. They support the wounded service members. They support their families. They have wellness retreats. So you don't necessarily have to be hurt or have experienced a loss to benefit from this organization. They are nonstop doing work for these families, from the scholarships, from honoring those that have passed, to supporting, current service members. One of the things they do, there's a guy I spoke to, he's been helping me with the history of EOD. His name is Mike Vining. One of the things he does with EOD Warrior Foundation is they go and find folks from past wars that have died that maybe got buried, or maybe like their families didn't know anything about them or why they died. And they go and find these folks, and even if they're not EOD techs, they help develop a record so they all know, so the families know what these people did. And Gary was like, yeah, we'll support, and you can do this. And I was like, oh, okay, good. And it's a flat course. Perfect. Like,
yeah, I think you've made a brilliant choice doing the OC Marathon. No, where do you live?
So I just moved down to San Diego. I was in LA for work for about a year, but I've been here for about 15 years.
Okay.
My girlfriend and I live in Ocean Beach. And yeah, like Orange County, I drive. So I would drive through all the time, and I just went up and saw Gary. I got to meet him face to face the other day.
And pause for the listeners. Gary Kutcher, the race director and the owner of the OC Marathon, co-owner.
Yeah. And he's just, I can't say enough things. I just emailed him yesterday just to say thank you, because he's helping out. We're trying to get some video, and we're trying to work out. This is the first time I've ever done like a fundraiser of this magnitude. I've done some stuff in the past. I've ran a 5K in Imperial Beach in the bomb suit. I did a 5K in Djibouti, Africa, in the bomb suit, and I did a Ragnar 15K Ragnar relay in it. But this is the first time I've ever done anything like to this level.
So let's boil down a couple of questions. Is without the bomb suit, what is the farthest you've ever run just in regular clothes?
65 miles.
Okay, so you're a talented runner. You can run long distances. That's not a problem for you. And now you're going to tack on a 74-pound suit. Will that include your helmet? Will you be running with the helmet? Oh, yeah.
Initially, I was going to try to get out of it. Like, I didn't want to wear it, and it's going to be awful. And then I started like when I was, Googling and like seeing who's done runs in the bomb suit. Cause I know people have done miles, like fastest miles in the bomb suit. And I came across a number of folks who have done like a bomb suit mile, and they're all wearing the helmet. And I was like, oh, And then I was looking on Guinness. Yeah, right. And I was looking on Guinness and I was like, has anybody done a marathon in a bomb suit? And for a while I thought no, because whatever I was searching wasn't getting me any feedback. And I was like, I don't have to wear the helmet. Like nobody else has done it. I can kind of get away with it. And then a guy named Ian Church, who's a British EOD tech, he currently has the world record for fastest marathon in a bomb disposal suit, and he's got the helmet on. I was like, no, like I got to wear the helmet now. So,
dang you, Ian Church. Okay, yeah. So, and what's his time? What's the time to beat?
6 hours, 28 minutes.
Whew, that's
a long
quick
time.
in a bomb suit.
Yeah. So I think that's like a 14:28, something like that, minute or a mile.
And then if you're not wearing a bomb suit, what is your normal mile pace for a marathon?
I actually have only done like one marathon and it was terrible. I did the LA marathon many years ago and it was like a 4 hour. So I think that's
great. I mean, come on.
Was it? I don't know.
In reality,
I was, hey, my personal goal was a lot faster, but I don't always train right. So I'm like, okay. I'll be able to like power through it. And then a marathon will show you quickly that no.
That's right. So you're hopefully training appropriately. So do people in San Diego see you just roaming down the street in your bomb suit, getting miles in?
They're going to. I've actually had a pretty tough time getting a suit. There's a lot of rules around using suits and fundraising. So it wasn't the easiest, but I've got one now and they're going to start seeing me over the next few months, especially since we're doing pretty good on the fundraiser. I set kind of a ridiculous goal of raising $10,000 as well. I don't really know why I pick these really impossible goals. It just sounds like a good idea. And then once I've said it to somebody, I'm like, oh, I'm committed now. Like,
yeah, I do stuff like that too. And get myself into all sorts of weird little trouble, but it always works out.
It's working out. We're halfway there.
Where can people donate? Tell us right now how people can donate.
You can donate on the OC Marathon page. Let me bring it up.
Okay, so if they just go to ocmarathon.com, they'll find a link to donate.
Yeah. So if you go to, it's basically the runsignup.com bomb suit marathon. That's my donation page. And on that page, you'll be able to read about the nonprofit EOD Warrior Foundation.org. They'll have links there. And then my Instagram will be there as well, but that's at bomb suit marathon on Instagram. Okay. But if you also look at the OC blog, you'll see a post on me there as well. And someone recently said, I'm like, if you go just like the OC Marathon, their homepage, like I'm right there.
Good.
So good. I think you'll find it.
Okay. So your fundraising aimed for 10,000. You've already brought in 5,000. So
yeah, we're at like 52%. Yeah.
Okay. So even $5, folks, just donate something because this man is in for a bunch of hurting. I'm not trying to stress you out, David, but the you will be considered the chafer of all time. There is no human on earth who will likely chafe it, who has chafed as much as you likely will chafe at the OC Marathon. That's got to be worth a small donation, right? So you've done 5K in this suit. You've done 15K in the suit. What are the ramifications for your body while you're in it, walking or running, and then after the aftermath?
So most of the stuff, like when folks see me wearing the suit up now, like I'll probably do a few short runs in it. Those will probably more be toward like geared for visibility, just to get attention. Cause you see that it's going to catch your eye. Most of the training I'm doing now, I'm wearing a weight vest. I do have a couple coaches. They're based out of the Climb Clinic in Colorado. And they're just giving me a lot of like not necessarily strength training to get bigger, but to be able to continue on. Right.
Yeah.
Some of the things I really worry about are, 74 pounds, with 12 of it specifically just on my head, is breaking my running form down. When I'm running, it's easy when you're just in clothes, like, shoulders down and back, keep your spine straight, head up so you can breathe. But, I did a training marathon in December where I wore 50 pounds, a 50-pound vest up in Poway. So kind of a hilly course. And I started noticing as I got tired, I started breaking down in my back, I was bending. And then that, it starts to hurt. And, so your form is bad. Now you've got, discomfort in your back. It's just, so really, really holding on to core running fundamentals is like my goal here. So I'm running a lot of distance, of course, like you would kind of for a normal marathon training distance wise, but just kind of endless reps of lunges and squats and squat thrusters and core stuff.
Are you working with resistance band and working your hip flexors as well?
I am, but mostly for like PT. So I have PT for my lower back from an injury from my career. That's my warm up. I do a lot of like mobility stuff and resistance bands for my warm up, and then for recovery as well.
Okay, good. You should be doing them because the glute medius is going to be your friend if it's strong on race day. Yeah,
and recovery is the other piece. I've probably spent more time and effort on, I'd say, well, maybe as much effort on having like proper nutrition and recovering. Like, what do I need to be stretching? Because historically, and I don't know if all runners are guilty of this. I'm definitely guilty of not always stretching enough. Like, for recovery.
Most people don't. Yeah.
We go out, we eat, or we're walking around, but that's not the same as like, okay, I need to target my calves and get them stretched out. I need to work on, variety of things, especially, I'm never going to acknowledge getting older, but it is a reality for an older runner that you have to do other maintenance to your body, not just run, not just lift, not just whatever.
Right.
And so calories, like that's been probably my biggest concern other than heat. I expect to burn somewhere around 8,000 calories while running and about 2.5 gallons of liquid lost.
Okay, so this is one of the big questions I had coming in is how in God's earth is he going to hydrate in a bomb suit helmet? How does that work?
So it has a visor that pops up. And so the visor will be up the whole time. And the helmet will be on. The helmet, I'm debating, there's a fan system. So that'll probably be running. It doesn't do a lot, but really what it'll do is it'll help me communicate with my team because it has little speakers. So it'll amplify what they're saying because the helmet fits very snugly. And there's a picture of me putting it on in Djibouti and it just like smashes your ears flat. It's just it's not the best feeling in the world. But so, for managing heat, I don't know. Messaged Ian and I just heard back from him and we're trying to set up a time to talk because heat management is going to be the biggest issue. The suit just doesn't breathe. It affords you protection from blast. It affords you protection from fragmentation, but it also affords protection from fire, right?
Oh, chemical stuff too, I'm sure.
Yeah. So in the manual, it would say if the suit was on fire, you have about 2 minutes to get it off before you would start feeling that to a significant degree.
Okay.
Which is a long time. The flip side to that is like, it also doesn't let any heat out. And when I ran it in the past, it starts to feel like there's a furnace like just in your chest. It is miserable.
Huh.
So, go ahead.
I'm just thinking you're in for a really good time, David. But here's the thing. The fact that I know this, I'm going to be able to pour so much love on you at the start line and I'm going to let everybody know what you're in store for. So you're going to get the most support from all of these athletes that are running by you. And of course, the warmest welcome anyone's ever received at a finish line. You make it to that finish line, and I believe you will. It will be a hero's welcome, as noisy as they come.
Well, I'm excited. And, in talking with Gary, like, you guys are going to have me right up front. Like, that's more than I just wanted to be able to have, like, be able to run it with everybody. The number of people that are going to be there. I think the crowd is going to be pretty great for hype. I think, my welcome is going to been more than I could have ever asked for. I mean, I think we're going to have, I'm going to have a pacer and I think we're going to end up with 2 pacers and we're going to have a flag with us. Don't tell anyone, but we're going to have like a flag with us that was flown over the memorial. So we sort of have like a final mile plan coming together. A friend of mine is going to be there for videoing and we might have sort of a documentary in the works. Like, I mean, please.
I think that during the expo, perhaps there could be a booth or a place where some of the athletes can come and meet you and check out your suit.
Gary and I were talking about it. I think we're trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. I have the suit, so it will be there. I'll obviously be there. My team will be there, and I would love to be able to meet the other runners. Like, I can't wait it's going to be. I don't love getting past, but I fully understand I hope I do get passed by everybody.
Yeah, probably will. You're going to come
Yeah.
damn close to almost everybody getting passed.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. And so, okay, so the drink will be able to get into your mouth. You need a straw for that.
Yeah. So the suit has, lots of little like pockets on it. And there's kind of two in the front that like where you put battery packs that run the suit's electronics, most of which I won't need for the race. As we get closer, I'll really dial that in, but I don't think I'll need most of it. So those pockets will be empty. And so my team member, Pacer Travis, the poor guy, he's going to be running the slowest marathon on Earth. Like, my goal pace is basically anything better than 14 minutes per mile. And so as I need supplies, he'll run up to, aid stations in our team,
Okay.
grab stuff, come find me and switch me out, in an effort for me to not have to stop. But I'll probably have like 2 little camelbacks kind of on me.
Okay.
And then he's going to have a backpack of food. And when I go out for my runs now, I don't see a lot of people doing this, but like, maybe I'm just not running with the right people, but like nobody's carrying around Ziploc baggies of like ham and cheese and pickle sandwiches and then eating like shot blocks and goos. And then like I'll pull a PB out from behind. Like I'm just constantly eating in an effort to just get used to eating.
Can I ask how?
Have you found when you're running, do you have a hard time eating like marathons?
I actually very much do. I find that if I'm doing a half or further, I get hangry at mile 8. Like instantly I need food.
There's a wall there, right? Yeah.
I become miserable. And so also I have that weird thing where my stomach's like, don't feed me, you a-hole. So it's contradicting. It's very hard. Yeah. I choke down food while I run long distances. And how, do you mind me asking, you seem quite lean. How tall are you? What do you weigh? Can I ask?
So I used to weigh 6 or be 6'4". I had a back injury, so I'm 6'3". The realization, I was like, oh, I'm 6'4", and for most of my career, and then one day they're like, no, you're 6'3". Quit rounding up.
Dang it!
Like, oh, no. And then I weigh about 180.
Okay, so very lean man. Yeah.
So with that, and in 2018, I ran an ultra. It was my second attempt at 100 miles, and I did not manage my nutrition at all. I think I approached that race looking like rest on my laurels. Like I've ran enough in my past, I'll be okay. And it didn't serve me. And I got heat exhaustion pretty bad. Like I wasn't sweating, I had nothing, no outflow, so like,
yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. What if you have to use a porta potty on the course? I'm so sorry to interrupt, but that's another big factor.
You're going to laugh. So the suit, it's called a diaper, but it is not an actual diaper. Like it is not what we're using for, but you have like the Farmer John, like a bib, and that's like your leg protection.
Okay.
Right. And that comes on. And so it's like your legs are armored, but then the top is pretty light. It's like just kind of like a vest that goes on and then secures. And then you would still see my running shorts if I was just wearing the bib to paint the picture for you. And then the diaper, as we call it, is really just, nylon, like ripstop nylon and Kevlar that goes on much like a diaper and Velcros. But the idea is to afford more protection to your groin. Right.
Okay.
So to be honest, I don't really anticipate needing to go, but I do have that, I could pull that off and do what I need to do. The idea though is I don't want to stop. Like I don't think I can afford it. And even if my time is good, marathons are a unique distance. And I don't think you have, like, a lot can happen. Like the first half can go great. You still have 13 miles. Like that's not nothing where something bad can happen. If you've mismanaged your nutrition, if you step funny, you get lazy with your form, like a lot of bad can happen. And I don't want to think about it or wish that on anyone.
Right.
If you think about it and train about it, then you're less likely to have it happen to you.
Well, I got to tell you, I can't think of anything that would be funnier than seeing a man in a bomb suit going into a porta potty.
The door won't be shut. I won't fit entirely. We will figure it out if that's something that happens.
I don't wish it upon you, but if it does, I know you'll have your video crew and
I'll be sticking out of it halfway and just, it's not going to be awesome. Yeah. It'll be funny for everyone else, hopefully. And that's good enough for me.
That's right. Gosh. I mean, it's just such an exciting event, and you're going to miss out on beautiful views because I'm sure it's probably hard to see in that thing. But we often have spectacular weather. It's quite chilly in the morning, and it's really brisk for running. We've only had rain on a very rare occasion, but yeah, I mean, it's brisk in the morning and it certainly warms up by 2:00 type thing, but it's going to be a beautiful day, I'm predicting.
I think that's the other thing. Like, I've kind of been looking at your guys' history, and nice early start. It's gonna be nice and cold. I'm hoping for a little marine layer. I mean, I can't control it at all, but anything that works in my favor.
Yeah.
I think my pace will be slow enough that I don't heat too much. And then if the environment, the weather's good, like, I think that helps. That'll be helpful.
Yeah. OC is the perfect place to do that. I do believe Gary Kutcher has Mother Nature on speed dial, and he works a little mess.
It wouldn't surprise me if he's found a way to manipulate it.
Right.
He has it so, he's got it so set up, like, so perfect.
He sure does. And even if it did rain or whatever, it's a 10 out of 10 anyways.
And it'll be a little bit. It's Southern California. I don't think the weather's bad for very long here. No. I think we're pretty lucky. So
yeah. It's funny. I'm a Floridian, so when Californians complain about rain, it's hard not to giggle because I believe you get it sometimes aggressively.
Every now and then. When I was in EOD school, though, I mean, I think we got rain every day at like 2:30, like clockwork.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. That was the day. And then about an hour, and then it's back to normal.
Yeah. Blow down a few dozen oak trees, and then it's perfect sun again. But yeah. Anyway, so it'll be great. I have no doubt. David, how can people follow you?
So I'm on Instagram. You can go to, it's Bomb Suit Marathon on Instagram.
Easy.
That also goes to my Facebook account. I'm not super active there, but it does link, so you can still see it there. And I check messages. So, please, anybody that wants to reach out, please feel free. We've got some folks that are, I mean, Gary is one incredible sponsor. He's doing so much for us. And there's some other folks too. EOD Warrior Foundation is doing everything they can to support. Like 361 Degrees, they just donated some running shoes.
Nice.
Trail shoes that I'm using them on the road because the good padding, good grip, and I haven't even had a chance to put on their road shoes yet because I like their trail shoes so much. So they've been incredible. So I'm talking about all these guys on Instagram. So the more love I can get on Instagram, that helps out. So I can share my sponsor's name. And then the other, that's kind of it. I'm kind of keeping it just Instagram. Kind of keeps it simple. Between work and family and training, I don't have a lot of extra time for social media.
Well, you know what? You're doing something really special for a wonderful organization that serves wonderful, heroic people who care about others. So it's good multiplied. And you're also serving as a really good reference point for people who think they can't. The people that are always making excuses on why they can't blank. I can't do a 5K. I can't do a marathon. I can't ride a bike. Maybe you can. Because not only have I seen firefighters in full gear go the full distance of a full marathon, but I've seen people with 0 legs run a full marathon. And so again, marathon doesn't have to be the goal for everybody, but you should have goals. And, the bigger they are, golly, the better the outcomes, right? Even if you fall short, you're going to have one heck of a time training for and get and enjoying the experience. Even David, if you only made it to mile 19,
we're making it.
I believe in you. But no matter how far you go, it's an extraordinary accomplishment, and still all of this money for a great organization. So I hope people look at you and think of how they can extend themselves in their own specialty, right?
And I agree 100%. And I think it's easy and valid to have, obstacles in your life. Like, we're all tired. We all work, we're all doing our best, right? I genuinely think people are just doing their best, whether it's just to survive or to achieve, wherever you are, in whatever you're doing, we're all doing our best. And so I think it is easy and valid to be like, oh, I'm too tired. I don't have the time. I don't have, and running in a suit or isn't to say look at me, I found time. It's just hey, look, I'm trying to do something. I'm trying. And I hope people are able to like, you know what, like I'm going to pick whatever their version of that is, because it changes your life too, right? Like whether it's running or swimming or art or
That's it.
playing guitar, you know, I mean, it's whatever it is, you just got to find a little bit of time for you, you know, try to get your cup full. And that's what this is doing for me. I definitely have a new idea. It'll be for visibility, but it'll be something that it's terrifying. And I've never done it before, but like, let's do it. Let's see what it feels like to be thoroughly out of my comfort zone.
Well, you know what?
Too.
Your comfort zone extends to possibly being blown up. So your comfort zone is pretty big, David.
Scales, right? Like I think if people are motivated or can be encouraged to test their limits, like, awesome. And good on you. I'm proud of you. I hope I see you. Please donate. If you don't, pat me on the back or say something when you know, like, I just want people to like be happy.
Yeah. I love
and
it.
take care of folks if we can. Like that's what matters, you know?
All right, David. So we always wrap up the Fitzness show with two things. Number one is a communication tip. And so trying to help people be better at the art of communication with communicating with other people. So what you got for me?
Man, what comes to mind is some advice I was actually asked for at my job. It was like, what advice would you give to somebody that's new here? And I think it might apply to a lot of things, but it's like, you're volunteering to be here. So lean into it. Like whatever that thing is, like you chose to do it. So commit. Like that doesn't mean that's all you do 24/7, but when you're there, that's what you're doing. And really, really lean into it. Figure out the nitty, like the little details to it, you know? Because like if you've chosen to be there, it must mean something to you. So
that's right.
So buy in, you know?
I love that. And then the other thing I need to ask of you is for a recommendation for our listeners to add to their playlist. So if they're going to come and do the OC Marathon or the 5K, or maybe they're going to go tree climbing, what song do you want them to add to their playlist?
Oh, Genius by Sia, Diplo, and Labyrinth. It's a great start song. It's like the best song to start with. I don't know. My taste in music is eccentric at best, but
okay,
I would say try that one, you guys. Try
Genius. Well, thank you so much for your time, David. I will be counting the minutes till we are together in Orange County. Of course, folks, if you would like to come run or walk alongside David in early May in Orange County, we would love to have you. Use discount code FITZNESS. You can save 15%, which I think is the largest discount code out there right now. It's FITZNESS, and just come be a part. And again, he's doing it in a bomb suit. So you could do the 5K, you can walk the whole way, you can push your baby stroller. I don't know. You can go at a reasonable pace. Your first 5K, we'd love to have you. And you can always come out and just celebrate David. So be there at the start line and then wait at the finish line with me to welcome him. But awesome. I'm really excited to see you. Good luck with your training. And I will be following you on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you.
If you haven't done so yet, go to EOD Warrior Foundation.org. You can go to ocmarathon.com. There will be links for you to donate to David's cause. And we'll be rooting for you. David, you have one more assignment. You got to look into the camera and with gusto, tell our listeners to get to work.
Get to work, you guys. I'll see you out there. I can't wait.
Bye, team.
Hi, this is Rudy Novotny, the voice of America's Marathons. We all love how much running has benefited every aspect of our lives, so much so that most of us only wish we'd started sooner. Wouldn't it be wonderful to gift the opportunity to children of today? Well, you can. The Morning Mile is a before-school walking and running program that gives children a chance to start each day in an active way while enjoying fun, music, and friends. That's every child, every day. It's also supported by a wonderful system of rewards, which keeps students highly motivated and frequently congratulated. Created by our favorite fitness expert, Fitz Koehler, Morning Milers across the country have run over 2 million miles and are having greater success with academics, behavior, and sports because of it. The Morning Mile is free to the child, free to the school, and is inexpensively funded by businesses or generous individuals. Help more kids get moving in the morning by visiting morningmile.com. Champion the program at your favorite school or find out more about sponsorship opportunities. That's morningmile.com. Long may you run.